Hey, so this next video, I guess it would be part 2, I'm going to cover categories. I actually made this video last weekend, so this will be take 2. It was a really great video. It's about 45 minutes long, and when I got done, I had a limited time to do it because everyone was out of the house, so it was quiet, no interruptions, no distractions. And I got done and I went back to review it and all the video was there, but I'll be darned if it didn't record a single word I said. So, needless to say, I did not immediately redo it. I was a little too mad. It probably would have shown in my voice. And so here's take 2 on categories. Categories. Categories are important because it's your main menu up here. So here's your main menu. Each one of these is a top level category. And each one of these is a subcategory. And these are subcategories of the subcategory. It can go on forever. You'll run out of space. Notice over here it gets cut off. So that's something to remember. The farther right you get, the fewer subcategories you should really have. I don't know if there's a way to remedy that. But until I figure that out, just keep that in mind. The categories that are clickable, notice I'm clicking and it's not going anywhere. The reason is these layouts are designed to work on mobile, and there is no hover on a mobile device. You can't hover, you can't just hold your finger up over the screen and it knows that you're there. On the computer, you hover over these and they pop out. So on a mobile, you actually have to click on these or tap on these to get the submenus. The only ones that will take you anywhere are the ones that have no children or have no parents. It would be the farthest most children. So, um, you know, you can click on those. And these are what's called category pages. Category pages can have banners at the top. I just put a couple in here for demo purposes. You can advertise specials or new products or whatever you want. You don't have to do category banners. It adds a little bit more attention to your pages. So you say, well, what if there's products that get imported into the ammo category? How can I get to it? Well, you get to it through the breadcrumbs over here. So you can click on ammo, and this shows you everything in the entire ammo um, top level category. It's a little, oh, I don't know, vague. It probably won't be used that much. The breadcrumbs are mainly there for search engines to be able to spider all your pages better. But that's how you, if you wanted to, give a link to someone, send it out in email. Here's all of our ammunition. You could click on the ammo breadcrumb, and this will be everything in the entire. So it's all of these in one screen. Notice there's 34 pages total, but if you just do handgun, there's 8. So yeah, so there you go. So over to the nitty gritty here, categories. They're under catalogs and categories. And like I said, the top level categories have no parent or have no children. They're parents with no children. Let me rephrase that. The top level categories have no parents. They can have children, but they don't need to. So example, here's ammo, here's apparel, come over here, here's ammo, here's apparel. They're top level. The sort order is the order they appear from left to right on top level categories, and it's the order they appear from top to bottom on the subcategories. So that's how you change the order. Notice I've done basically increments of 10. If you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you want to stick one in between, you'll have to reorder all of them after where you want to put them. So if you do by 10s or even by 100s or 25s or however you want to do it, you'll always have room to put categories in between other categories if you want to. If you go by 100, you can't go wrong. You'll always have plenty of room, probably even by 10s, but sometimes some subcategories can get pretty lengthy. So That's that. Status, disabled, enabled. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you disable a category, it will not show up. All right. It's important, though, to note that all, and we'll get into this in the importing video, but there are bucket categories, and they're usually down here towards the bottom. They're always disabled by default, and anytime you do an import, if you haven't mapped the vendors or the suppliers category to your category, all their products go into the bucket. Buckets are always disabled. That way no one can see the products. If you want to not sell a particular category, I would recommend, for example, ammo. Not everybody's going to want to sell ammo. Well, you could delete the ammo category, and every time you import from someone, it would go to the bucket category, and that's fine. But let's say you wanted to sell ammo in the future, or you think you might, you're better off to just disable all of the ammo categories. Let the imports run. If you've had previous category mappings, they'll still get put into the ammo categories that you've mapped them to. But since it's disabled, it won't show up. Anybody who's hot linked to a particular ammunition item page, it'll be disabled. It'll say it's no longer available or something like that. But then, you know, in 6 months' time, if you wanted to sell ammo, you just re-enable those categories, and boom, they'll come right back. So, you know, let's see this in action. Let's say, you know what, I really don't want to sell ammo. I want to disable it. Well, we need to disable all of these. So the quickest way, you could do one at a time, but you could just select all of the ammo categories. Go up here and say with selected. These are selected. Change the status to disabled and go. And yes, I'm sure I want to do it. Now all the ammo categories are now disabled. If we come over here and refresh, ammo will go away. Boom, ammo's gone. However, it's still here. And product import, if I'm importing into any of these categories, it will still import into these categories. And then let's say, okay, fast forward, it's 6 months later. You know what? We're ready to start selling ammo. So we just turn these back on. Go up here, enable. Boom. Yes, I'm sure. When it's done, we'll refresh. And ammo is back. It's that simple. If we wanted to put ammo after apparel, we would just find apparel. Its order is 10. We would edit ammo, make its order, I don't know, 15. Save. Come over here. Ooh, it went way over. You know what? I bet you it's because all of these are 10. Let's see. Ammo, apparel. What's the next one? Gun care. And one thing, I know this is a great big long list. It didn't seem feasible to put pagination on here because you know you need to see all of your categories. Every browser has, and I don't know if you know this, but there's a little pro tip. Every browser has a mechanism for searching on a web page. On Windows, it's typically Control F. On Mac, it's Command F. You do that. I'm on a Mac right now, but it's similar. It'll either be at the top or down at the bottom. And then you put in what you want to search for. I want to know what gun care's order is. So we come over here and we do gun care, and they almost always highlight them. And there it is. Look, it's 10. Okay, hunting. And we want the first hunting. It's 10. So that's why ammo went all the way over, because all of these are 10. So we don't want it to go all the way over. We just want it to go right next to firearms. Well, if they're all 10, even if we made this 11, it'll come over here. So what we need to do is we need to make firearms. Let's find firearms. Helps if you spell it right. Its status is order is 1. So if we go back to ammo, and if we make it 2, It's a really poor example, but it'll work. Ammo should now be right next to firearms. Okay, but if we wanted ammo here, since we know apparel's 10 and they're all 10, we're going to have to bring apparel down. We got to make apparel, 5 so that we can make ammo 6. And now ammo should be right next to apparel. There we go. So that's how you do ordering, okay? It's pretty simple. If we wanted to put handgun down at the bottom, we would change its order to whatever, something higher than other ammo. So on top level menu items, again, it's left to right. On the sub menus, subcategories, it's top to bottom. Same is true for the grandchildren, and if you had great grandchildren out here, they would, be true for that. I think some of these may. See, now we're getting close to the end and we're running out of horizontal space. So that's that. Now I need to spend some time on designated categories. There's been some confusion about designated categories. There's 3 types of category designations. There's firearms and the various types: handguns, long guns, shotguns, and other, and receivers. There's ammo, handguns, rifle, shotgun, other, and reloading. The reloading is not as important. It was sort of an afterthought. It's there for, I think, maybe one supplier, gun accessory supply, maybe categorizes their items in such a way that it can be properly put into a reloading category designation. The firearms are the most important. When you're importing from anyone, firearms automatically go into the designated firearms category. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's find the firearms category. Here's the firearms category. Now we've got combos, shotgun, rifle, combos. Just about every distributor has a means to determine if it's a combo, a handgun, a receiver, a rifle, or a shotgun. Combos and receivers being the gray area. Some of them don't break that out, but definitely rifles, shotguns, and handguns. But we can determine, and they automatically go into whatever category you've designated. So for example, if we go to combos, designation, rifle, shotgun, combo, okay? The parent is firearms. This is how you make this category a subcategory of something else. Top level categories have no parent, and that's how you make a new top level category. Firearms, for example, has no parent. It's a top level, okay? It has no designation because there is no bulk firearms designation. It has to be one of the types of firearms. Other might be the bulk. Anything that won't fit into here would go into here. And the reason why you have designated categories is because the system needs to know if it's a gun. And there's 2 ways of doing that. You put it into a designated category, or you go to the actual product, any product. For example, this site here. Come on, oh, I'm not clicking on the right thing. Duh. Is FFL required? If it's a gun, you could make this yes. So anything you put into a firearm designated category will automatically be considered a firearm, even if this is no. If it's in the category, it doesn't matter. If you want to, well, let me back up. You can't have more than one category designated as one of these. Only one can happen, or only one can exist. These are unique and singular, all of these. The reason is when it's importing, it needs to know which if it's coming in an import and it knows it's a handgun, and you have 2 handgun designated categories, it has no idea which one to put it in. There has to be only one. Ammunition, I think only one distributor I'm automatically putting into the, I think it's gun accessory supply, into the ammunition designation. The rest are just going to the buckets because not a lot of people want to sell ammunition. And but again, any product that you put into a ammunition designated category will be considered ammunition. So there's a lot of reasons why, in the back end and the under the hood and the works of how things work. Like when you go to ship products, if you're adding ammunition, it knows it's ammunition because A, it's in the category, or B, it's got the ammunition flag set in the product right here, and so it knows what shipping methods that you're allowed to use. It knows that you need to ask for a signature. It knows that you can't ship a gun with it, things like that. Um, Also, when the customer's checking out, if it's ammunition, it and you're shipping to California, it requires an FFL attached to the order because California just passed a law that says you have to ship ammunition to an FFL. They have to do a background check for ammunition. I know it's crazy. But that's another video. So that's why those two particular category designations are important. The reloading, not so much, although I have a feeling there may be some laws coming at some point regarding projectiles. I think I'll probably be expanding on the reloading category designations to include powder so that there's hazmat fees and whatnot. Haven't quite figured out how to work that out yet. So the reloading designations is a work in progress, but they're there and ready to use when I need to flip that switch. So back to categories. If you want to add a category, it's as simple as going up here and clicking add. And you give it a name. It's required. The URL keyword is just it when you go to a category page, it has to have a specific URL. And you know, so like here it's outdoor hydration accessories. So I think either it was automatically created at an import or I made these. It's outdoor hydration accessories. Make your URL keywords as similar or as closely related to the hierarchy that they're in. Search engines will love you. All right, so keep that in mind. Dashes are the preferred. Don't put spaces. Any character that's not allowed in a URL, if you put it in there, it will be replaced with a dash. Okay. Designation, if you set your new category to one of these designations and these designations are already set, it will be removed from the other one and applied to this one. So keep that in mind. There can be only one. Okay. Enabled, disabled. If you want to disable it now because you're, getting ready, you want to map out your categories and whatnot, you don't want it to be put on the store yet, just make it disabled. It'll still show up in the category maps, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. And then, everything will go there. You can map to it, import to it, check it out, make sure it's right, and then enable it when you're ready to start selling those products. If you were editing a category that had children, and let's say you wanted to disable this category and every category under it, you would check that and hit save, and it would disable all of its children, and probably its children's children, starting from this category all the way down, would be disabled, or the opposite, enabled, whatever you want. The order, we discussed that. That's what that is. The parent, if you want this to be a top level menu item, leave that to none. If you want it to be a child of another category, you choose that category here. Okay. Meta tags are kind of like the URL keyword. These are only used by search engines. They're not visible on the page, although the title will show up here in the tab, or back in the day they would be up on the title bar, but they don't have title bars anymore. So basically they'll show up on the tab. Description is again used for search engines, keywords. You want obviously your title, description, and keywords to be very closely related to what the category is and what it's about or what it sells. So be very specific. You can buy books on search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO. Will tell you how to make good use of your meta tags, or just read online, Wikipedia maybe, I don't know. The banner images, you can do up to 5. That's these images right here for a carousel. And then if you're doing a bunch of new categories, you can just do save and new, and it'll save it and bring you back to this screen to start a new one. When you're done, just hit save and done, and it'll bring you back to the back to your list. All right. That's about it as far as the categories. I think it pretty well covered all of that. Obviously, if you delete a category, it'll complain and say, you really shouldn't want to do that. One thing that I didn't know it would do, and it's kind of a neat feature, and I'll cover it real quick. Let's see, I've got this test category over here. It's left over from the last video. We need to move it over here so that everything's visible. So let's find it and change its order to 2. Now it should move all the way over next to Firearms. Okay. Now, if you disable the top level category, all right, but you don't dislabel its children, this is interesting, and I wasn't sure it did this, but it's kind of neat that it does. So let's disable, oh, and I had designated that in my previous video. We don't want to do that. Let's disable test. Now, it has children. It has subcat and test 2. Well, now subcat and test 2 become top level categories because this is disabled. So this now becomes a top level category, and this now becomes a top level category. All right, so keep that in mind. If you want to disable the top level and all of its others, you have to disable all of them, and that's why I put this with selected on here, because it may be convenient to do that, or not. So if you want to disable an entire category tree, disable all of them. Okay. I'll briefly touch on category mapping since it's kind of tied to this, but it's really more of a of an importing thing, and I'll cover it more in depth in an importing video. But when you're importing, after you've done an initial import, see, if you've never done an import, it'll say you need to do an initial import before you configure your category map. That's because it has to do a first import to find out what categories the supplier has, because they change, and it has to do an import and record everything, and then it can find all of its unique categories to present to you on the next run. Okay, now it says I've not, so here's an example. Here's Bill Hicks, and here's all of the categories that Bill Hicks has in their import feed. Okay. Once you've done an initial import, then you come back to here, and this will show up. So right now, everything is going to the bucket category. Nothing is being put on the store with the exception of Firearms. Firearms, auto designation, there is no other choice you can make. Everybody's selling guns. That's why you have this website. So handguns, all firearms go to the firearms designated categories. Period. End of story. Stop here. And you cannot change it. You can change the categories. You can make the pistol category, rename it, to whatever you want, pistolas, whatever. You can call it, brown unicorns if you want. If it's designated as pistols or handguns, those items are going to go to there, period. Everything else right now, notice revolvers auto-designated, rifles auto-designated, shotguns, they all go to the proper place. It's for your safety, it's for my safety, it protects us all legally, and it really cuts down on the accidental selling of a gun without asking for the proper FFL, whatnot. Um, that's just how it is. If you don't want to sell guns from Bill Hicks, um, but you want to sell their other stuff, you'll have to go into the products list, your filter your products to the Bill Hicks supplier and the firearms categories, and disable all of them. So it's not ideal, but right now that's the only way to do it. So here's what you want to do. If you want to sell air guns from Bill Hicks, well, right now they're going to the bucket category and they're not being put on your store. You need to assign air guns to one of your categories. All right. So I don't think I have an air guns category. So let's just that's a bad example. Archery, ammunition. Here's a good one. Ammunition. There is a designated categories, but we don't put ammunition automatically into the designated category. Some people may not want to sell ammunition. So right now, any ammunition coming from Bill Hicks is not going into any category, and they don't break their ammunition down into rifle, handgun, shotgun, etc. So really, mapping ammunition as a whole is pointless here because we'd have to put it here, and that's fine. It would get it on your store. It would be hard for customers to find it unless they find it in a search engine. So, but you can do that. Probably what you'd want to do is go in, you'll have to, if you're doing Bill Hicks, go into the Bill Hicks products list, filter to Bill Hicks ammunition, or the ammunition bucket for Bill Hicks, which is, down here somewhere. Let's see, Bill Hicks, they don't have many. Right, you can't do Control F on drop down lists, unfortunately. Ammunition. So you'd have to go into your catalog, and I'll cover this more in detail in products, but your filter, right, and you say supplier, Bill Hicks, category, Bill Hicks. I'll go right past it. They don't have very many. Here we go. Bill Hicks ammunition, filter it. Now here's all of the ammunition coming from Bill Hicks. You'll know it's Bill Hicks because it adds a -BH to the SKUs. All of the SKUs are automated, and it's appended with something to let you know what supplier it's coming from. So you'd have to find, let's say, all of the handgun ammunition, right? And you come up here and you want to change it to your ammo handgun category, and then you want to set the category's import block. That's important. That way it won't remap it to the bucket or to whatever, and then hit go, and that'll do it. I'll cover that in more detail on the products, but that's what you have to do, and it's unfortunate, but we're limited to what they offer, and Bill Hicks doesn't break ammunition out. Now Xander's, well, I've never imported from Xander's on my test server here. RSR now does, okay, and so they have just a regular ammunition category, and you don't know what that is, so you could map that to other. Handgun, you would map to handgun, rifle to rifle, rimfire to rifle. It's a little iffy, but typically it's going to be rifle. Shot shell, that's shotgun. And so now, once you've got your map set up, when you save it and then you do an import again, every product that comes in from RSR in this category will show up on your store under your category, and this is how you map all of your stuff. See, I've done cleaning equipment to cleaning kits and whatnot. Anything that says auto bucket is going to the automatically created bucket and is disabled by default and is not going to show up on your store. That being said, you know, there's nothing preventing you from enabling a bucket category. If you just wanted to, I don't know why you would want to, but you absolutely can. So keep that in mind. Even though it's a bucket category, like this one, it's disabled. There's nothing keeping you from checking that and hitting enable or going to edit and enabling it. And then if you do that, everything that's in this bucket category is going to show up on your website, and this is likely to be the name of your menu item. Kind of ugly, so, and big. So keep that in mind as well. I'm trying to think if I've left anything out. If you want to delete a bunch, anything you want to do on several at one time, you use the with selected. You'll see this on other screens too. This is on products. I don't off the top of my head know what else. Maybe sales, maybe vouchers, I can't remember, but definitely products and definitely categories. You choose the things you want to do it on. You select what you want to do with categories. There's only two things you can do. You can change its status or you can delete them. There's not a whole lot to do in bulk for categories. So there's that. If you set up all your categories and you don't like it, or you've screwed something up and you just want to start from fresh from the way it was when you first signed up on the site, click this button. This will delete all categories and reload with a set of default categories. And here's things to consider, okay? If you've done this before, any mappings you've created to any of these categories should still work. Manually added categories will be lost. All values will be reset. All categories will be set to enabled. You'll lose your bucket categories. It'll be, you know, the three basics, right? Firearms, ammo, and reloading, I think, are the three basic categories that you start your store out with. It will be just like you started from scratch, with the exception your category mappings will still be there. However, they'll only work if you've mapped to these default categories in the past. Any maps to custom categories and all maps to bucket categories will be lost. But the option is there. It has come in handy a couple times for a few people. And if you want to start over, that's a good way to do it. Categories come in handy in a couple other places. If you want to put something on sale, you can choose the categories that you want to put on sale for the sale. Specific products, you have to add tags to the products, and then you can you can choose the tags that you wanted. So let's say you didn't want all handguns, you just wanted Sig Sauer handguns, and you only wanted P226 9mm handguns. Well, you'd find all those Sig Sauer P226 9mm handguns, and you'd put a specific tag on it, or the same tag on each one, and then you would choose that tag over here, and then those particular firearms would be on sale, not the whole category. Vouchers does not use categories. So there's the lowdown on categories. I hope this helps. I would consider this part 2, because when you're setting up your new store, the first thing you're going to want to do is what we covered in getting started in part 1, is set up your store info. The next thing you're really going to want to do is set up your categories. You're going to need to give it some thought. You're limited to the amount of space you have. If you don't have very many, they'll be put up here, but once they exceed this space, they wrap down here, and then once you've exceeded this space, they just start wrapping like text does, and it looks kind of, well, it doesn't look good, so you don't want that to happen. So you're limited to the amount of space you have here. So but I think, for the most part, you can get all of the things you want um, in the amount of space. This on sale category is a system category. When you um, have a sale and it's active and it's within the start and end date, this one doesn't have one. That shows up and you click on it and that shows you the products that are on sale. This is not something that you have to do in the categories. This is done automatically. If you had more than one sale that was active, they would all show up under here. If you want to, if you turn the sale off, uh, that will go away. Well, my browser doesn't, oh, because I've clicked on the actual sale. Now we'll refresh. Did this save? Oh, forgot to put a discount in there. Now it'll go away. There, it's gone. By the way, if you put a discount of 0, that would be a way for you to maybe, it's kind of a trick, but you could highlight certain products and, give the discount 0. You won't be selling it at a discounted price, but you can sort of highlight the products and give the name of it anything you want. The bad thing is it's under a category heading called on sale. But pro tip number 2, you can do that. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up because I've got some more videos to make today, and I'd like to get several of them put online for you guys. So if you have any questions, just give me a shout, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. And have a good day, and good luck with your categories.